Welcome to Small Insight, Big Impact, where we explore how small actions can create waves of change. I'm Dr. David Tsetse, and together we are going to dive into a subject that touches the very heart of Ghana's environment, economy, and communities. I'm talking about illegal mining, commonly called Galamsey, that a lot of people know. The problem of illegal mining is of interest to me personally, as I had the opportunity to work as a gold exploration geologist in the 1990s in Pristina. And it's such a good issue to talk about. So the problem is not only about the environment, it's also about livelihood and also the future of the nation. Ghana is the second largest gold producer, as we all know, in Africa, and one of the top 10 globally. Gold is woven into the fabric of Ghana's identity, but behind that, we all know that illegal mining is at the shadow, and it plays a critical role in our gold industry. So, I just want to put a human face to this issue, which we all know. It's like we all know the Pra River, among other rivers, where currently turbidity levels are so high. Just put yourself in the shoes of a child who used to swim and Pra, take water, clean water for drinking from the Pra River, fish sometimes with his dad or mom in the Pra River, and also farm along the banks of the Pra River, that now all these activities cannot be done. This is what the problem is to the country and all of us. And I think those who are not familiar or who are not close to what is happening, I guess this will give you a picture of what the situation is. So in other words, the ecosystem, the habitat, the chemistry of water bodies, air, land, in the affected areas are all distorted or being challenged, and which requires both long-term and short-term solution. But just to create a picture of what this problem is, the problem that is happening in the affected areas are far-reaching. Illegal mining has a ripple effect, not only in villages or communities along where it's being undertaken, but way to all other parts of the country, and sometimes, if you can argue, that far beyond the boundaries of Ghana. Why do I say that? It's because illegal mining comes with environmental distractions, we all know, which I've already talked about. The pollution of water bodies, soil, and also air pollution taking place mainly from heavy metal, cyanide, arsenic, mercury, and also the public health aspect of it, which we are seeing, cancer cases and other medical issues, respiratory problems that are being reported in some healthcare facilities across the country. There's also an economic downside of all this, where government get to lose on taxes or royalties that are due, because of what is being done illegally. Not to talk about the social side of things. Most of these areas experience conflicts between miners and communities, and also the recent increase in security cases that are being reported across the country in one way or the other can be attributed to the current problem. And underlying all this is the erosion of trust between the different stakeholders or actors in the affected areas and beyond. sometimes it's kind of mind-boggling to see or to know that there is a general consensus about the problem, but then we have some parties or other people still doing illegal mining. The question then is, with all the ripple effects that we all know about illegal mining, why do people still engage in illegal mining? Well, for many, it's just survival. They just want to survive and put a daily bread on the table for their families, and sometimes also have the basic necessities of life, because there are no formal jobs to secure. So they see the illegal mining area as the only avenue to get some money to be able to take care of their families. So that's mainly the reason. And societies, as we find them, there will never be a perfect society, as we all know. So we will always have some people who will not do, even though knowing what is right, will not do what is right. So that is part of society fabric. Yeah, so now I move on to the main points that I want to share with you on this special episode, which are my points regarding how I think we should be addressing this issue. This is not to downplay what has already been done. So first of all, I want to acknowledge the fact that the government is doing the right thing by taking a systems approach to this problem, meaning they try to understand the different sectors and components of the problem, and based on those analysis and insight, use that to inform policy and also actions. So that's one thing. And with systems approach to issues, it takes time. So I think those who are engaged in that journey or that process will understand that. And then the second thing I also want to applaud the government for, it's the action that they've taken to seize excavators and also try to stop that coming in without a due registration or due approval. Those are major steps in the right direction. And then the third point is the establishment of NIMOS and also its follow-up actions in terms of arresting and detaining, where possible, people that have been engaged in illegal mining at the field level and also at the funding level. So those are key actions that I think it's worth acknowledging and celebrating. The last one is the blue guards that they call them, that are more or less the foot soldiers in the field trying to help address the problem. So these are in my view, good actions that are being taken to address the problem. That said, I must say there are a couple of gaps that I need to highlight, because one, it's the messaging that it's been done. I listened to the president's consultation meeting with stakeholders, and one thing that came across clearly to me, it's a lot of people in the country don't really know what is going on. So there should be a way of messaging, providing message on this issue to different audience in different places. So that's one thing that I found, and I think one of the participants actually raised this as an issue. So I think that's one thing that will have to be looked at critically. The other thing it's the long-term strategy that is in place to address this situation. We all know, addressing of illegal mining, it's a long-term assignment. As much as you have short-term emergency type of actions, the main goal or the overall process takes time. So I think what I also picked up is I don't seem to see, if there is, that's fine, but like a clear strategic plan that will guide the whole actions of the current government and future governments. I'll go in a few minutes to sort of state what I'm proposing. The other point that I also noticed from consultation and listening to the news file and other news outlets, it's lack of a comprehensive assessment, technical assessment of the situation. Yes, we have reports of our water bodies, the different lakes, CSIR, EPA, and other bodies have done studies. But I think a comprehensive one-stop information and assessment database or platform, in my opinion, is lacking. And I see this illegal mining as an opportunity for the government and other stakeholders to develop such a comprehensive assessment. And I'll get back to that in my proposed actions. The next, it's also community engagement. The Blue Guards, I think they are doing a great job, but it would be helpful to find a way of engaging illegal miners as part of the whole package, so that it will be part of their reintegration to society, and getting the traditional leaders also on board. So that's also one thing that I did not see coming out in most of the discussions. What has been done to engage the illegal miners that are prepared to champion the fight against Galamsey in the country, with the support of the local traditional leaders. So that's also an area that I feel it's worth looking at. So those are, I'll say, the few gaps, high-level gaps that I've picked up. And if there are actions already addressing that, that's fine. But just to share my bit on this whole issue. So now I come to what next? What actions should we do, or what should we continue? So I have tried to present in this podcast, I would say, short-term emergency actions, and then also long-term strategic actions. Why I say that? Because, again, we need to be tackling the day-to-day issues and at the same time looking into the future regarding what we expect in these areas. So with regards to the short-term emergency actions, the first one, it's for NADMO. I don't know if it's already there, but to display their operational plan. If I use display, so I'm not sure whether it's already there, but if it's not, they have to develop an operational plan and display it real time, so that people get to see what they're actually doing and reporting against. So that will be very helpful, and that will be a tool to educate the public on their actions. So that's one thing. Because NADMO, in my understanding, it's the operational secretariat for this whole action. So that's one. The second point, which I should have been the first, but the second point, it's to classify all watersheds and water catchments in the country as per the level of risk regarding illegal mining. I know there's some work that has already been done, but it would be good to have a comprehensive classification of all this, the watersheds and water bodies. And I just want to make a point here that in terms of area base, it would be good my suggestion is to use a watershed catchment base, because every catchment, every watershed is unique with its ecosystem, type of water and also land soil properties. So we treat each catchment and each each watershed separately. So based on that risk classification for the different watersheds and catchments, then the catchments and the watersheds that have high risk, those are the areas that I think that emergency should be declared for those areas. So like you have watershed or water catchment based emergency declarations, and with those declarations will come a clear a clear operation procedure, SOP, standard operation procedure, to be able to address issues within those catchments. And we all know with an emergency response, you need to have your logistics and then your supply chains and other things. So when you declare that, you cordon those areas and make sure you have a clear approach to assessing and then doing things in that defined area that you've identified. And then you review the other classification based on the assessments that you've done to either upgrade or degrade the level of severity that you've assigned to do. So that's very important, and that will guide, I would say, the actions of NAMOs in terms of where they have to go, how they have to go, and then what they have to do in those specific areas. And with the dashboard, the operational dashboard that I talked about, NAMOs will be spitting out on this dashboard the progress that has been done so that people can go and then check or maybe see what has been done in real time as they go. Maybe this is already the practice, but it's good to point it out at this stage. The other thing, short-term intervention, is to also take steps to improve all the water treatment systems that we have across the country where possible, given the level of turbidity and other pollutants that are coming in. And here I would suggest, looking at the option of activated carbon based treatment filters for the different water schemes, and also making them available, the small units available, so that households can have access to them and use them for their household water treatment as a stopgap or emergency type of intervention. So that's and I also the next point is in times like this, you have well-meaning people trying to help with different technologies, different approaches and other things. It would be good to coordinate, to have coordinate all efforts of well-meaning organizations and individuals, so that you don't have duplication of tasks, and you maximize or you get the best out of your resources. And so that's one thing that it's very important in times like this. I think today yesterday I watched Newsfile, and there was an issue about a type of technology that the EPA wants to use to treat water. Again, this is where this action will fall into. This will be looked at critically by experts, and then the best appropriate solution chosen for the situation. So that's a key local task. I would say emergency task that has to be done. And then the last short-term, I would say, emergency task that I think need to be taken to a different level is the engagement of landowners and traditional leases. I think this has been talked about quite a lot, but I think it's very important to stress that this is key, because they own the land and they have the right to either accept or not accept somebody on their land. So, and I see some of the chiefs are taking their steps to address this issue in the right hand. So these are, I'll say, few short-term emergency actions that I think will complement what it's already been done. And if some of these are already done, that's well and good, but I just feel I have to put it out there for you to share. Now I go to the long-term solutions or the long-term plan. So you have the short-term emergency actions running in parallel with the long-term strategic plans. So first of all, I am proposing that the government should appoint a national coordinator for illegal mining. And this person should be a seasoned, well-experienced strategist who understands the context well and has documented experience with regards to how to turn national crisis around. So that's and the reason for having that national coordinator is to elevate or strategically position the issue that we all agree that it is a problem, and position it in a way that gives it priority, and then allow the sector ministers to also deal with other pressing issues and their responsibilities. So this person will have, hopefully, the support of the current government and also the opposition to be able to carry his or her work. So that's one thing. And then I'm also proposing that the country should look at developing at least a 28-year strategic plan that sort of with 4-year cycles, and those 4-year cycles should run or be aligned with the election cycle. Why I say 4-year cycles is because when there's a change in government, that year, that cycle will sort of coincide with the strategic plan. And 28 years because that's even, I would say, the short timeline for reclaiming or turning things around with such a level of pollution that we see in country. The third strategic point that I have is for the government to look at commissioning a nationwide georeference assessment to map all water bodies in the country. This is linked to what I talked about regarding the watersheds and catchments. We need to know with accuracy the locations for these all these water bodies, and that will also inform the type of properties that we have at the time of assessment, and give us a good baseline from where we can confidently track progress with time. So this is something that is, I would say, will be the backbone of not only the illegal mining, but it will be the backbone for future national georeference databases that will inform how we do things. So that's another important thing that has to be looked. And then the fourth point is to establish 3 advisory teams. The first one is a technical, that's more or less the scientists and then the engineers advisory team. And this team will be tasked to look at all things technical that relates to the emergency response, or the short-term actions, let me put it away, and then the long-term actions, those to be about design, reclamation strategies and technologies, and they will be tasked to do that. They don't necessarily have to be new appointees, but they could be people seconded from other institutions and pulled together as a TAG, technical advisory team, to look at all things related to addressing this issue. And that team will work in parallel with the other ministries, but then report to the national coordinator for illegal mining. The next technical advisory team will be the resource mobilization team, because this tax, the short-term and long-term, it's capital intensive. So they will be taxed to raise money for all the actions, see what funding mechanisms that they can harness to be able to fund the different interventions that we are talking about. I listened to the President's communication interaction with the stakeholders, and there was a question around the resource, what exactly, how much do the government have to address this issue. This particular advisory team will be tasked to do that. So that will be something that will be able to come up with realistically and use that as a basis for resource mobilization within the government and also with multilaterals to address the problem. The other point is also to strengthen regional and municipal coordination mechanisms. This is very important, especially because it will support the short-term emergency actions. And here I talk about making sure that they have, the regions, the municipalities have rapid 24/7 rapid response teams that can easily deploy to site and based on the situation address or escalate to the next level for solutions to be had. So that's also very important. And then the last but not the least, it's to again, our chiefs and landowners make them more accountable for the lands that they own, and make it clear to them in terms of them giving out the names or the details of companies and interested parties that are using their land for such activities. If they don't, there will be a penalty that they'll have to pay. This is a national crisis, and actions on their land goes far beyond what they think. So that would have to be made clear to them. Bottom line, we have to consider that solutions to this problem, it's not just only about the environment, it's mainly about livelihood, the environment, and also the economic development of the country. So all these three will have to interplay well for Ghana to be able to move forward. The fight against illegal mining in Ghana, it's not just by stopping miners. It's about building trust, in my opinion, and creating opportunities and protecting the land, water, and air for our generation now and then the generations to come. So that's one thing. So we need to look into the future and not be too much caught up with what we have today and what we want for ourselves, the comfort that we want. So these are the points that I have to share with you today. Thank you for joining me for this important conversation. If you enjoyed today's episode, share it with a friend. Together, awareness can speak actions. This has been Small Insights, Big Impact with Dr. David Tsetse. Until next time, protect your air, protect your land and your water.